Brooks was the next one in the queue.
Thank you, President Cavazos. I actually have a lot to say about this, but I'm going to try to be brief and to the point.
That's fine.
I think we can all agree that the last meeting went off the rails, and which no one wants to duplicate that. I do agree with Trustee Williams regarding public comment. You have to be consistent. You have to be fair. Everyone has to have the same amount of time, and you, as the president, need to verbally articulate into the microphone that their time is up. They need to relinquish the microphone, and they need to move on to the next speaker. You cannot just raise your hand. That is not up to the police to determine who is and is not being appropriate in the audience. That is your job as the president to run the meeting and to instruct them on who needs to be removed, because the claim that you're making as an elected official is a disturbance. They cannot police the words of people. People do have freedom of speech, even horrible speech. The Supreme Court has upheld this numerous times. So you are able to state into the microphone that people need to stop heckling, people need to stop directing their comments to people in the audience, and then you need to point out who needs to be escorted out, because the police, they don't have the discretion to do that. And that has always been the case. So I feel like this could get very unsafe if you do not consistently enforce rules, and you have to do that even when you agree with speakers. So if you cannot allow a speaker to speak for 10 minutes because you like the message they're delivering. It is 1.5 minutes across the board, no matter how much you enjoy the words coming out of their mouth. And if you do that more consistently, I think we'll be able to maintain order a little better. I also think that the same thing, you cannot treat different groups in a different manner. So you can't allow one side of the room to applause loudly and then admonish the other side when they are doing, they're heckling people. You just have to be consistent. It is the same disruption, and it doesn't matter if you agree with them or not. I have heard some comments regarding public comment and the way that we're doing public comment on agenda items specifically. So in the past, people listened to the presentation, then they came up and made comments. They are able to have an informed opinion because they have sat through the presentation. So my advice would be to do public comment at that set time, and then public comment is done. It isn't a recurring thing where suddenly you have something that you need to say. It is, you've done your public comment period, and then the board discusses and they move on. Otherwise, we get into a very prolonged and unnecessary back and forth. And yes, we can respond to public comment in some fashion. We can't respond during non-agenda items, but if somebody comes up to the microphone and they ask a question, you are able to let them finish their comments and then build that question into your dialogue. So yes, we can do those things. I think it's very important for consistency's sake. I think it's important that we are all following the agreed upon standards, and that you are telling people that their time is up. That is the main problem that happened last time. And ultimately, you're responsible. And I understand people think the whole board is responsible, but only one person is running this meeting. And if you would like me to chime in and remind you of that responsibility, I'll be happy to do so. But I didn't think that you would like that.
Thank you, Trustee Brooks, for the tutorial, and I will take those comments into effect. Did you have anything to say as far as the total time frame or anything in that category for regarding public comment?
I thought we all agreed last time that we were going to explore exactly what Trustee Guzman said, which means that I'm not sure why we would be discussing it if it could already have been implemented, a system for live call-in comments. And Ms. Miller already stated that written comments no longer had to be read into the record. And the policies that you're following right now for public comment, they're not actually in alignment with our written board policies, so you could change them back at any moment to how they were. with the addition of the legislative tools for live call-in comments.
Thank you for that clarification. I have